Why is my hair thinner after 60? What older women need to know. Have you ever run your fingers through your hair and paused just for a second, wondering when it started to feel different? Not just a bad hair day, but thinner, lighter, almost like it's slowly stepping back without telling you why. It's one of those changes that sneaks in quietly, and if you've noticed it, you're not imagining things. Hair does change after 60. And it's more than just age. Today's video is about understanding why your hair might be getting thinner and what you can actually do about it. Not with heavy products or drastic makeovers, but with calm, thoughtful shifts that match this stage of life, where clarity matters more than chasing trends. You'll learn what's really happening beneath the surface, the signs most women miss, and how small updates in your care routine can make a visible, touchable difference. Fuller strands, softer volume, a look that feels like you again. Because it's not just about hair. It's about feeling at home in your body today, not 20 years ago. And if you've been wondering whether this is just something you have to accept, there's good news. You don't need a full transformation, just a better understanding. Let's start with something many women never consider, but it's often the first quiet sign. Reason 1, the hormonal shift most women don't see coming. After 60, your estrogen levels naturally decline. That's part of the normal aging process. But what many women don't realize is just how closely estrogen is tied to the strength, thickness, and growth cycle of your hair. Estrogen helps keep hair in its growing phase for longer. When levels drop, that phase shortens, meaning more hairs finish their cycle and fall out. New growth can still happen, but it's often slower, finer, and in fewer numbers. So if you've noticed your part widening or your ponytail feeling thinner, this could be why. You're not doing anything wrong. This isn't about products or brushing technique, not yet. It's something happening within. And it's easy to miss because it doesn't feel like a dramatic change. It feels like shedding that never quite slows down. Like the volume that used to be there just isn't anymore. You might have chalked it up to stress or even blamed your shampoo. And honestly, that makes sense because no one really tells us how hormonal shifts can quietly reshape how our hair behaves. But here's the good news. Even though you can't stop this change, you can work with it. Start by focusing on supporting your scalp and follicles from the inside out. That means prioritizing whole body wellness, especially nutrient intake. Protein, iron, zinc, and omega-3s are key players in hair health. And hydration matters more than ever. If your diet has shifted over time, or if your appetite isn't what it used to be, that might be part of the picture too. You don't need to overhaul everything. Just gently realign your routine to support what your body is asking for now. A warm cup of bone broth in the afternoon. A soft-boiled egg with breakfast. Even small additions can feed your hair the building blocks it's quietly missing. And if you're already doing that, consider speaking with your doctor about your hormone levels, especially if the change in your hair feels sudden or dramatic. Sometimes, just having clarity about what's going on is a powerful step forward. This shift might have felt invisible, but now that you see it, you can respond with care instead of frustration. Sometimes, comfort needs a little updating, and understanding your hormones is a calm, steady place to begin. Now, let's move into something more external. Reason 2, brushing, the habit that used to work. Now let's turn to something simple, familiar, a daily routine you probably haven't thought twice about. Brushing your hair. You've done it for decades, maybe even the same way, with the same type of brush. It once made things easier, smoothed everything down, helped your style stay in place, but now it might be doing more harm than good. As we age, our hair becomes finer and more fragile. The strands are thinner in diameter, and the follicles produce less natural oil. That means less cushioning during brushing and more chance of breakage, tugging, and even fallout. And here's the part most people miss. It's not just how you brush, it's when. Brushing your hair while it's still wet, for example, can stretch and snap delicate strands. And using firm, rapid strokes on dry hair can strip away what little volume is left, especially near the crown, where thinning tends to show first. You might have noticed this without realizing it. That moment when your brush collects more hair than usual, the way your part looks wider than it did last year. It's subtle, but it adds up. And it's easy to see why the habit stuck. Brushing feels familiar. It's part of getting ready, part of looking put together. You've always done it that way because it worked. But just like your skincare evolved over time, so should your hair care. Here's a softer approach. Use a wide-tooth comb or a brush with soft, rounded bristles. If your hair is damp, start detangling gently at the ends. Then work your way up, never from scalp to tip in one pull. And skip brushing altogether if you don't need it. Sometimes a gentle fluff with your fingers is all it takes. This small change protects what you already have and supports what's still growing in. You'll likely see less breakage, less fallout in the sink, and more fullness around your face where thinning is most visible. Think of it this way: your hair's texture has changed, so it makes sense that your routine should too. Less force, more care. That's the shift. Now let's take a breath before we move into something that's often overlooked. What's happening underneath your scalp and why it matters more than you think. Reason 3. Blood flow. The root of health often forgotten. Have you ever noticed how your scalp feels colder than it used to? Maybe after a walk in the wind or when you're sitting under a ceiling fan? It's not just a matter of temperature. It's a sign. As we age, blood flow to the scalp naturally decreases. The tiny vessels that once nourished each follicle with a steady supply of oxygen and nutrients begin to narrow. And without that healthy circulation, hair follicles can shrink, weaken, and eventually stop producing new hair altogether. This is one of the quieter causes of thinning hair. It doesn't happen overnight, but over the years, it leaves a lasting impact, especially near the crown, temples, and hairline. You might be thinking, but I eat well, I take my vitamins, and that matters. But if circulation isn't supporting delivery to the scalp, those nutrients may never fully reach where they're needed most. It makes sense this gets overlooked. We don't often connect blood flow with beauty, and it's not something you feel day to day until the results show up in the mirror. So how can you help? Start small. Massaging your scalp for just 2 to 3 minutes a day can increase local blood flow. Use your fingertips in soft, circular motions, especially around areas where thinning is most visible. You can do this while you watch TV, before bed, or even as part of your shower routine. Adding gentle movement to your day also helps. A short walk after meals, light stretches in the morning. Even mindful breathing improves circulation by calming your nervous system and opening vessels. No gym membership, no special tools, just small choices that invite your body to support itself again. And here's something many women find comforting. Scalp massage isn't just good for your hair, it's soothing, calming, a small ritual that centers you. It brings attention back to your body, to where growth is still possible. You've probably never been told that blood flow could affect your hair, but now that you know, it's one more gentle shift you can make. Softness with intention. That's where real care begins. Coming up next, a factor that's deeply tied to texture, shine, and strength. Yet most women unintentionally strip it away without knowing. Reason 4. The moisture barrier. Why hair feels drier, rougher, and weaker. Have you noticed your hair feeling rougher lately? Less smooth between your fingers, more frizz, less shine. Maybe it tangles more easily, or feels stiff even after conditioning. That's not your imagination, and it's not just the weather. It's your scalp's moisture barrier changing with age. As we get older, our skin produces less sebum, the natural oil that once coated your strands and scalp. That protective layer didn't just give shine. It locked in softness. It helped prevent breakage. It made styling easier. Now, without that same natural lubrication, hair becomes more porous. It absorbs moisture unevenly. It loses elasticity. And over time, it starts to look dull, dry, even brittle. You may have tried to fix it with a heavier conditioner, maybe switched brands, and when it didn't work, it felt like something deeper was wrong. You're not wrong to feel that way, because this isn't just a surface issue, it starts beneath it. The good news? You can restore balance gently, but the approach needs to shift. Instead of just adding product, focus on sealing in moisture. Use a leave-in conditioner with light natural oils like argan or jojoba, not just for softness, but to lock in hydration after washing. And don't overwash. 2, maybe 3 times a week is enough for most women. Every wash strips away what little natural protection your scalp still provides. Think of it like skincare. At 30, you might have cleansed twice a day. At 60, you moisturize more, cleanse less. Your hair deserves the same wisdom. Another tip: switch to a microfiber towel. It's gentler on the cuticle and reduces friction that can make delicate hair frizzier or more prone to snapping. And when drying, let your hair air dry as much as possible. Heat from blow dryers, especially without a protectant, can deepen the dryness and damage what's left of your hair's natural coating. It once made sense to shampoo regularly and use whatever conditioner was on sale. But now, your hair needs more intention, less assumption. You're not asking for luxury, just support. Moisture isn't about making your hair feel nice. It's about helping it hold together. Soft doesn't mean weak. It means protected. And speaking of protection, let's talk about one thing we often forget about completely: how your pillowcase can quietly affect your hair every single night. Reason 5, the pillowcase problem. What happens while you sleep? Let's move into something more subtle. Not a product, not a habit you do while awake, but something that touches your hair for hours every single night. Your pillowcase. It seems harmless, soft, clean, maybe even your favorite set from years ago. But depending on the fabric, it might be pulling at your hair. Literally. Cotton pillowcases, especially older ones, create friction. As you turn your head during sleep, those tiny fibers tug at fragile strands. The result? More breakage, frizz near the crown, split ends that never seem to grow out, and sometimes even a flattened look that makes thinning hair appear thinner than it really is. It's easy to miss because it doesn't feel like a mistake. It's your bed, your sleep, your comfort. Numb. But comfort can sometimes become a hiding place for habits that no longer serve you. Here's a gentle update. Switch to a silk or satin pillowcase. Both create a smooth surface that reduces friction, letting your hair glide without strain. They don't absorb moisture the way cotton does, meaning your hair retains more of its natural oils overnight. You'll likely wake up with less frizz, fewer tangles, and your hair will feel softer, not because of a new product, but because it finally got a break. If silk feels too delicate or high maintenance, satin offers a budget-friendly alternative with similar benefits. It's not about extravagance, it's about quiet protection. And there's something else to consider. Sleep itself is a healing process. Giving your hair a gentler place to rest supports that natural restoration. You've done so much to take care of others. This is a small, elegant way to take care of yourself without changing anything else in your routine. Sometimes, the simplest shifts happen while we sleep. And this one? It's as easy as changing a pillowcase. Next, we'll turn to something deeper inside: how stress, even the kind we've learned to live with, might be quietly changing the way your hair grows. Reason 6, I thought it was just stress, until I learned what it really does. I used to believe stress was just a feeling, something you power through with enough patience or a good night's sleep. And maybe you've told yourself the same. I've been through worse. It'll pass. I'm just tired. But here's what most of us were never told. Chronic stress doesn't just affect your mood, it affects your body, right down to the roots of your hair. When your body is under long-term stress, it shifts into protection mode. One of the ways it conserves energy is by pausing non-essential functions. And hair growth? That's on the list. The stress hormone cortisol interferes with the natural growth cycle. It can push hair prematurely into the resting phase, where it stops growing and eventually falls out. And when that cycle repeats, you start to see thinning, especially near the temples or part line. The change might be slow, but it stays. Even if you've handled the stress, even if no one else can see it, you can feel it. You might have noticed this during a difficult year, a health scare, or after a major life shift. And if so, you did the best you could at the time. That matters. But now it might be time to support your system in a new way. Not with pressure or perfection, with softness. Simple breathing exercises in the morning, 5 minutes of quiet time with tea before the day begins. Even journaling out thoughts before bed, just to clear mental space. These aren't luxury habits. They're acts of nervous system care. And they send a powerful message to your body. I'm safe. I'm listening. You can also speak with your doctor about supplements that support stress balance, like magnesium, adaptogens, or B vitamins. Not to fix anything, but to gently assist your system in recalibrating. Because yes, hair responds to how you eat, how you sleep, and what products you use. But it also responds to how you live. And when life feels calmer, your body has more energy to do what it's built to do: restore, replenish, regrow. This might be the softest insight of all, but it's also the most powerful. So now, with all these gentle shifts in mind, from brushing to blood flow to bedtime, you might be wondering, does this really make a difference? Let's wrap it all together and find out. So now you've seen it. Thinner hair after 60 isn't just about age. It's a gentle layering of changes, some you can see, some happening quietly beneath the surface. Hormonal shifts, brushing habits that no longer match your hair's needs, decreased blood flow, lost moisture, daily friction, even stress that settles into the body long after the moment has passed. Each of these by itself might feel small, but together, they create the pattern you've been noticing in the mirror. And here's the most important part. You don't need to fight it, or reverse it, or go chasing youth. You're not fixing anything. You're fine-tuning what already works. You've changed. Your needs have changed. And your habits, they get to change too. Gently, calmly, and in a way that supports the woman you are now. Because hair is more than appearance. It's how you feel when you step out the door. It's what frames your expression when you smile. It's part of how you carry your presence, quietly or boldly. And you deserve to feel like your hair still belongs to you. So let this be a beginning, not a routine to follow perfectly, but a moment to start listening to your body, your patterns, your reflection. Maybe that means switching to a softer brush, or choosing a pillowcase that protects. Or finally giving yourself permission to rest more, rush less. It doesn't have to be everything at once. It just has to begin. Thanks for spending this time with me, here on Elder Insights. If this helped you see your hair and yourself a little more clearly, I hope you'll subscribe and stay with us. There's more to explore and more to honor, right where you are, right now.